On. And then all of you should have the class materials. So we're going to be working on section 2 today. And let me get a share screen going. So I think Roberta was the only one that was on the last class we had, which was before Thanksgiving. So we talked about, well, here, I'll go back on the slide. Oops. So we talked about having the right mindset, right? That mindset's everything when we're prospecting. We talked about what our thoughts matter. If we hate prospecting or we have negative thoughts around it, it's going to be challenging for us to do it. And we got to bust through those thoughts, right? And learn to think in unlimited terms. This business is we can make as much as we want to or as little as we want to. So you guys saw my email I sent out about being able to put electricity in a listing I have, and Nate and I were chatting yesterday. He called me and he was like, are you sure that's a good idea? He's like, spend the money and it still doesn't sell. And so, having the mindset, right? I've had these listings on the market for 2 weeks. We've had one showing each. Have a second showing today, and I'm actually going to go show it myself. So that'll be 3 showings. Got a sign call of all things that actually, is someone that's interested. So, managing my own emotions around that, right? Because the last few listings I've taken have sold within 48 hours. And so managing my own feelings around that, and what does that look like, right? And how do I advise the seller in managing their emotions? So anyway, sidebar there. So then what's the purpose of our call? Right now is a great time of year to call people because it's the holiday season, right? Wishing them a great holiday. What do you got going on for the new year, et cetera, et cetera. And you guys saw my post I did yesterday with the Motto Mortgage thing. Almost 20,000 homes on the market, just shy of that, like 19,971, I think is what it was I posted yesterday. So there's a lot of opportunity that 6 months ago wasn't there. And so we have done the pendulum thing again, where the last 3 years, all we've done is focus on get listings, right? And we've abandoned our buyers because it was hard to work buyers. So now we're back over here going, okay, buyers, where are you? Right. And so when we make the call, you never know, Lenny, who you call and touch, and just using the Ford to check on them and see how they're doing. They're going to ask you about the market, right? They're going to say, I hear in the news, right? The news is wrong. The news only wants to get, advertising and clicks, and sometimes people don't even click, right? They just read the sensationalized headline and they run with that as gospel. And once you click on it and you get in there and you really read the article, it's not what the headline says, right? And so going back to this, so having purpose of the call, who do I call, right? So always have a list of people to call, and then what do I say? So all throughout the previous class, there's a bunch of scripts and dialogues in there. So, take the time to read those and role play and practice. And then having systems and tools. So today we're going to talk about best practices to improve our phone prospecting. And so, and prospecting in general, right? I kind of want to just leave out the word phone because I think we're always prospecting. Everywhere you go is an opportunity to prospect. Who was I talking to? Oh, one of my coaching clients, she has season tickets. She lives in Kansas. She has season tickets to the Chiefs. And so they go to the football games, and she prospected at the football game and got a really great contact that works for a relocation company. And so awesome contact, right? So we're always on, when we put our name badge on, we're always on. So be looking for ways to connect with people. So best practices. So what does that look like? So just like anything, we got to set ourselves up for success. So we want to have a goal, right? What's my objective? How many people, all of us on here are in gas. And so each week Nate asks us how many calls you're going to make, how many people you're going to connect with. And myself, I haven't hit 10 yet, but I keep setting the goal, right? I keep saying that that's what I'm going to do. And then what's my environment? If you guys saw my office right now, here's a PSA, don't drink wine and get on Amazon. My office is blown up with Amazon boxes right now, and my floor, there's things all over. So if you were to look at my office right now, hence the reason it's blurred, it's not set up for success at the moment. My desk is pretty good, but behind me is terrible. So setting yourself up, right? Having the right environment that's welcoming, that you want to go in there and you want to sit down and make the calls. Years ago, when I managed the team and we were in the office, each phone bank had a little disc thing, right? The personality styles, a little graphic on there that showed, an example of what the disc personality styles might be. And that was a reminder, right, for people. We used to have the call sheets. We had pink and green. Pink was for buyers and green was for sellers. They were NCR, right? 2 copies. And so we had those at every calling station. So if a lead came in, you answered the phone, we would grab one of those forms, depending if it was a buyer or seller, fill it out, and then a copy got to me as the manager, and then the buyer's agent kept the other copy, right? And so we had those at every station to set people up for success. Okay. So look around, look at your space. Do you like it, right? Is it inviting? Is it setting you up for success? And we're going to talk about some prospecting call rituals today. And then we want to track everything that we do, right? This business is all about numbers. And it really is just about getting face-to-face with enough people. So we have to be able to track that. A couple of you remember Howard Brinton, rest in peace, an amazing man. He was doing some coaching with Nate, and Nate said one of his goals was that he wanted to golf more. And Howard said, okay, well, how are you going to know if you're golfing more? Well, you got to track it, right? You got to track how much are you golfing, right? So same thing here. We want to track how many calls am I making? And I think it's important too, if I'm making calls and I'm not converting, then that's an area of improvement we can make, right? We're not saying the right thing to be able to convert that person into an appointment. Got to have what are our performance standards? So these are our bragging rights, and then accountability, right? So 2 of you are not on a team, but you're in a gas pod. So why not reach out and do some role play together, right? Form some relationships that we can elevate each other, and really take the gas program seriously. I was excited to report to my group yesterday I wasn't on the call, had to take my dogs to the vet, but I was excited to report that I did close to 100 text messages for Thanksgiving Day. So I was at the dealership, had to get my car worked on. So I was there for 3 hours, just started sending, I had a nice little Remax graphic, sent out close to 100 text messages. And so that was really rewarding for me. And the responses I got back was amazing. So I was excited to share that with my gas people, right? We're calling ourselves the miracle workers. So I was excited to share that with them, right? And talk about I said what I was going to do. I said, I'm going to send as many text messages as I can. I didn't know I was going to hit 100, right? So that was pretty exciting. So accountability, right? Hold yourselves accountable and use those group that group has been formed for a reason, right? So lean into it and really, push yourself. Okay. All right. This makes me laugh. There's a mistake here in the slide. Either it should be the big 3 or they're missing a question. So there's a mistake in the slide. I didn't make the slide, so you probably should let someone know at headquarters. So 4 questions. There's 3 on the slide. So is this person a potential client? Right? If not, so would they be in the near future? Okay. If not in the first quarter, how about the second quarter? The second question. And then do they know anybody who could become your client? So I do with my December card that I send out, which I get from a company called I get from a company called Note Card Cafe. They're based out of California. It costs me less than $30 to get 50 cards that are custom to me. And I get the inside printed and I get the envelope printed. So it's like $27 with tax and shipping. So, and I can customize them. So anyway, inside that card, I always do what I call a state of the market. So kind of a little bit about me, what's happened in my life. Remember, we used to get those letters back in the day before Facebook. People would actually write a letter and tell you what happened in the last 12 months of their life, right? So kind of a little bit of that, and then touch on the market, kind of talk about what they see on the news. And then this year, I'm going to really push to, 1 is get Google reviews on my Google business page, and then 2, to remind them that I work by referral, and I need their referrals. And so who do you know that's thinking about making a move? So I want to really hit hard. It's a great time, right? There's awesome opportunities to buy a home, and then go for the referral. Okay. So I think it's important that we always ask that, right? We assume that they know it, but do they? All right. Do they? So, right. Are they a potential client today? And, I don't necessarily love that question, because I think that if we just forwarded our people, potential business would come from that anyways, right? What's the forward? Family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Okay. So what's our goal? So set a goal for each day. How many contacts and conversations do I want to have? Momentum says that every contact is worth $25,000. So you want to make 100 grand, do the math, right? It's not that many contacts. Okay. And then I gotta move you guys. Sorry, I gotta be able to see the rest of the slide. So how many conversations do I want to have? 5 contacts and 1 lead. per day, right? Per week. What's the goal of every call? So try to get contact information, right? This says email. I think I'd rather try to connect with them on social media, frankly. Because how many, yesterday was horrible with emails from spammers, right? With Cyber Monday, I must have deleted, I don't know, 100 emails saying, Black for Cyber Monday, this, Cyber Monday, that. It was getting really quite annoying. So, personally, I would much rather connect with them on social media because then I can glimpse into their life and I know what's going on. I can connect with them there. Okay. But not a bad idea to get email contact information, put that into your CRM, and then celebrate, right? We want to recognize and celebrate each win, even if it's a small win, right? Build the momentum so that if you're celebrating those small wins, next time that prospecting comes up on your calendar, you're going to be inspired to do it. Okay. So we want to celebrate those victories. All right. So our environment, what does our environment look like? So we want to have it be something that's welcoming to you, that speaks to you, right? If it's, if you have a home office, put a sign on the door that says, leave me alone, I'm prospecting right now, because it's easy for our family to come in and be like, well, you're not really working, right? So let me just interrupt you. If you're at the office, you could put something on the back of the chair that says, hey, leave me alone, right? I'm prospecting right now. So the question here is it conducive for your desired level of productivity? Okay. I like to pace when I make calls. I know that sounds probably silly, but I like to walk around, and especially when I'm negotiating a contract, I just like to walk. So something to think about, maybe get a headset, right? And whatever's your jam. I also have a raised desk. So sometimes when I'm in the mood, I'll raise my desk up to stand. So that also helps just to keep your body going, right? So that you're breathing, you got good posture. Do you want to play some music in the background, right? Something that keeps your energy levels high. I probably wouldn't play like death metal if you're making phone calls. Little Lamb of God might not be appropriate when you're making phone calls. But maybe some light, they say Baroque style music actually channels the other side of your brain to help you. So when I write and I'm creating things, I listen to Baroque style music. So clean and fresh. Right. So it's clean, right? Maybe you have a small plant or a candle burning, something, again, just to create that positive ambience. And then your calling station, we want to keep it simple with limited distractions. Have your phone, your computer. If you're using, most of us are using our cell phones now. So this says to turn it off, but most of us use our cell phones. So that's not probably practical. Have a break, right? So it's been proven scientifically that the average adult has about a 45-minute span where they can really focus. So if you say, I'm going to sit down and do 3 hours of prospecting, that's great, but we want to break it up into increments. Okay. So this says work 20 to 30-minute intervals. That's fine. 45 max, right? And then you want to take a break. Again, it's been proven if we take that break, it actually increases our energy level and then helps us reset and improve our positive mindset. So I always joke and say, watch a funny cat video, walk around, get a drink of water. Water is important, staying hydrated. So because, this is work, making phone calls and connecting with people. So make sure you are setting yourself up for success. I think we all should be prospecting 3 hours a day, but not 3 hours in one solid break, bank of time. Okay. Posture and position. So this is important, right? Good breathing, keeps us focused, keeps our brain in the, in the right spot, right? And then, smile, right? Smile. You can hear a smile come through the phone. I think we've all probably had an experience with someone that, that when they answer the phone, they're just not loving life. They are not loving their job. So, it sounds silly, but definitely, smile. And the greatest salesman in the world, Og Mandino, says, who can say no to my goods when he hears the love in my voice? And so the same thing here, who's going to reject you if they hear the love in your voice? And most of these people, they want to hear from you, right? If they're a past client, they want to hear from you. You've helped them with something, the most amazing thing we get to do as Americans, and that's be homeowners. Not every country has that option. Right. And we've helped them with that. We've helped them with a primal need of shelter. And so they want to hear from you. And I know we always get, and I myself included, is that you feel embarrassed. I haven't called them in a long time. Are they going to remember me? Et cetera, et cetera. Are they going to feel like I'm trying to sell them something? And nobody wants to be sold, but they do want to feel like you care about them. Right. And we should be the most popular person at the party. Okay, so look around your workspace and just jot down a couple things that you might want to change to make your workspace a little bit more conducive for prospecting. All right. For me, it's cleaning up my stuff. So I got stuff everywhere in here. So, okay, before the call, we want to have a warm up process. Okay. So create a positive energy. So stand up, move your body. If you've got a rise desk, stand up, pull it up, right? Stand up, do some stretching, maybe, kind of like how getting ready for a run. But, again, smile, right? Be in that positive space. Affirmations. I give you guys throughout Momentum all kinds of affirmations. We call them core beliefs, but they're affirmations, right? And one of my affirmations is that I live in a world of abundance, right? And so Roberta gave me a great affirmation a couple years ago that says that I am healthy. How's it go, Roberta? I'm healthy, wealthy.
I am healthy, wealthy, wise, and free. The good that I am seeking is also seeking me.
Yeah, so love it, right? That's a great one. Covers all the bases, right? And so have your affirmations, right? So, know what your financial goal is. Recite those things. And if you don't have any, lean in and use the ones that are in Momentum. Okay. What's your value proposition? Why should they choose you? So what do you bring to the table that's unique to you and relevant to their situation, right? That you can help them. Rehearse your scripts aloud for 10 minutes, right? Practice the scripts. It's important to practice them so that they become yours and you can say them in your tone and your presentation without changing them, right? But then it also, when we have a good script that we can pull out, it makes us sound polished. Helps us from, having the deer in the headlights, right? Or getting tripped up in a conversation by having a script, okay? Visualize the successful conversations and the outcome for a few minutes, right? Just close your eyes and think about, what do I want the next 45 minutes? What do I want to have happen? And then visualize that outcome, okay? So during the call, so here this is suggesting that you stand up. So I guess if my pacing was something I learned, I did without knowing I should be doing it, right? So headset, or if you got earbuds, a lot of you guys have those, the AirPods from Apple. Be confident, but be relaxed and genuine. We don't want to be desperate. We also don't want to come across as being, sing-songy or the cheerleader. I think we've all had that experience with someone on the phone. So definitely don't want to come across as desperate or having what my friend Julie Timms would say is commission breath. So don't give up too soon. So allow yourself to build rhythm and stay with the callers high, right? I never experienced this when I did try to run. I hate running, but they always say that there's a runner's high, right? That you get to a certain place in the run and you get where you don't even realize you're running anymore, right? So kind of the same thing here is we want to get into that space and stay hydrated, right? Your brain's approximately 80% water. And this is work, right? It is work. It's always amazing to me when you go to a conference and you sit on your butt all day, but you're starving and you're exhausted at the end of the day. And it's like, why is this happening, right? I literally sat all day. Well, because you're learning, right? And your brain's a muscle. And so it does burn calories, right? So we want to stay hydrated. And two, I'm really a stickler about hydration. When I first moved to Arizona, I fainted several times during my first summer because I just wasn't hydrated enough. And so I'm very, very anal about it. So I have my bottle here that is 32 ounces. So I know if I drink 2 of these every day, I'm good, right? And I have my electrolytes that go in there, all the other stuff. So, have a water bottle that's inspiring to you, that if you don't like to, especially if you don't like drinking water, make it fun so that you enjoy doing it. Okay, so after each call, we want to review, recognize, rehearse, and release. Okay, and then regenerate. So we want to review. How'd it go on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being you knocked it out of the park, 1 being I could have some improvement. We want to recognize the lesson that you learned during that time. What could it have made it a 10 plus? We want to rehearse out loud. So practice for more effective responses out loud. And then release, right? Let it go. If you need to play the Frozen song, let it go, right? Because this is an important step. Because if we don't do that next time, if we had a real bad prospecting session, next time it comes up on our schedule, we're not going to want to do it. Right? We're going to feel resistance to it. So we want to let it go. And then we want to regenerate. I can't say that word today. Regenerate your attitude. So move on to the next call with more confidence. Also in The Greatest Salesman, he says that every no gets me that much closer to the yes. And so that's okay to get no's, right? Because the next call could be the yes. And you're going to have a lot of no's. That's just the reality of this business. We're going to have a lot of no's, but that's okay. We keep forging on until we find the yes. So what you don't track doesn't get better. So tracking. So these are the things we want to track. Is how many calls did I make? How many dials? How many listings? How many calls per listing? So how many leads am I getting coming in on your listings? How many talks are you having? How many of those people are you actually connecting with? I put those 2 properties on the market in Morristown, and I got 3 internet leads within like the first 24 hours. Phone numbers and emails, right? Like good leads. Call them. I don't know what you're talking about. Or ones that I was just looking, no thanks, just looking, so, but that's still leads that came in, right? Those were leads that came in. And then, so what's my set rate? So how many of those calls turned into appointments? And then what was the total sets? Post prospecting metrics. So what was the show up rate? I set the appointment, how many people actually showed up, how many meetings face-to-face did I have, what was my conversion rate, then of course, what's your total closed, your average GCI, and your total income. Average GCI, I wonder if that should say average sales price. I feel like that should say average sales price instead of GCI. So we want to track all of these things. There's a couple other things we want to track as well that we'll get into. So the financial security of an effective marketer, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what we're doing is marketing. There should be something every day, Roberta, that goes out into the universe saying the Roberta Voss team is in business. Nate will tell you that a lot. I don't like when he says this, but I get what he's saying. He doesn't prospect, right? But something every day is going out to let people know that he's in business. Okay, so that is a form of prospecting. So 20 listings is the example here. I don't know that any of us have 20 listings. If we were to get 10 calls per listing, that would be an additional 200 conversations. If we could set appointments with just 15% of those, that would be a total of 30 appointments. And if only half of them showed up, that'd be 15 face-to-faces. And if we only converted half of those, 45%, that'd be additional 7 closings on sign calls, right? So property calls, well, let's just say all calls, whether that's internet, sign call, whatever. At an average, let's just say $10,000 commission, that's 70 grand, right? Just from marketing your listings and putting it out to the universe that, hey, this house is for sale. We got, I ran some megaphone ads through Mac Center. You've got that. Facebook is one of the cheapest ways to advertise. And then you got good old just door knocking, right? Door knocking and putting out flyers, open houses, all of that stuff. We haven't been kind of lazy, right? The last couple of years, because we haven't had to do any of that. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, how do I market a listing, right? What do I do to get people to know? So you should, if you find yourself on Highway 60 out in Morristown, tell me how my signage is. So, because I put a directional off the highway, I got my sign, I got all kinds of signs going on out there, and it's worked, right? I'm showing the house this afternoon to a sign call. I've had, I think 2 or 3, 3 calls off the sign. And so it's working, right? So dissecting your transaction benchmarks, okay, into key performance standards. So listing conversion, lead conversion, lead generation, okay? So this is how many of my listings sell, okay? How many listings do I have to take? Well, how many meetings? What's the set? What's the talks? And what's the attempts? Okay. So an attempt is basically just that, right? I'm at the grocery store, I have my name tag on, someone engages me in a conversation. That's an attempt, right? You go out to eat, someone sees that you're in real estate. That's an attempt, right? So now we want to track how many of those attempts actually turn into conversations, right? And the same thing with buyers over here is we want to track all of this stuff. So what's the attempt, the talks, how many meetings am I having? How many times do I have to take that buyer out before they find a house? When Ben was on Nate's team, happens to be Nate's nephew, he would say to people, buyer lead that come in, he would say, I'm going to take you out and I'm going to show you 5 houses that fit your criteria the best, and you're going to buy one of those. And darn it, if 9 out of 10 times, that's exactly what would happen. It worked, right? Because he was setting the buyer up for success. He said to him, I'm going to show you the best 5 houses that meet your criteria. Okay, very clear wording, the best 5 houses that meet your criteria, and you are going to buy one of them. So giving him permission to act, right? And like I said, 8 out of 10 times it worked. Okay. And why is that important? Well, it demonstrates that you know your stuff, right? That you know the market, you can find them the best properties that meet their criteria, and that you're not schlepping out having to show them 70 houses. Okay. Roberta, you got something?
No, that's how my mother trained me. Only the number was 3.
3.
And,
there you go.
and some of, well, and remember, that was in the 70s and 80s. So it was a little different. We didn't so much have the fear of missing out. So adding those extra 2 is probably smart.
Yep.
That Ben did, but yeah, you're going to buy one of these that I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
Great.
I'll show up to 10 in one tour. 10 after 10 gets a little messy unless they're relocation and we just have to power through it. But they start to get messy in their minds. But yeah, I'll show, but you got to give them permission to act, right? You got to tell them, hey, it's going to be okay. We're going to go out and we're going to find a home. And then how many offers do I have to write? This last couple of years, I've never had to write more than 2, maybe 3 offers for a person. And I say 3 because we probably went under contract on one and backed out because of inspection issues. And I had a buyer 2 summers ago. I think I wrote 7 offers for them. That's a lot, right? It's just because we just kept getting beat out. So we want to know how many offers is it taking? What's your negotiation skills, basically, is what this is saying. Okay. So these are all things we want to track that become bragging, part of our bragging rights. And this is also part of our bragging rights, I think. Is this the slide I want to look at? No, this is conversion. There's another slide. So 13 key conversion rates. Okay. So again, dials per talk. So they say that the average is 5 outbound calls to make 1 connection. Now, with cell phones these days, and if someone has your number saved in their cell phone, maybe that number is less, right? Because they recognize the number and they want to talk to you. If it's cold leads that you don't have a relationship with, then I think that's a good number to have. Okay. How many talks am I having per set? How many meetings, right? And then what's my sales percentage? And then over here looking at, again, car rides, how many appointments, how many offers were written, how many were accepted. So inside the materials, you guys have these tracking forms. They're really basic tracking forms, right? You could turn this into a Google Doc or a spreadsheet to make it a little bit more relevant with technology. But these are the things we want to track. Okay, so how many past clients did I talk to? They call it center of influence. This is your SOI or sphere or top 50, as we like to call it. So how many of those people did I talk to? I made a couple calls. It was before Thanksgiving, and I only talked to 2 of my sphere because they were like 45-minute conversations, right? So I hadn't talked to them in a while. We had a lot to catch up on, and so that's okay, right? But they were good conversations. And the one lady, she refers me a lot of business. Nothing's come from it, but she has referred me a lot. So unfortunately, the people she refers me have bad credit, so haven't been able to convert any of them. But I'm top of mind with her, right? And then how many calls have we gotten off of it? If we're doing just solds, how many calls have I gotten off of that? If I'm doing just listed, how many calls did I get off of that? Same thing with expireds. So we're going into the biggest expired month of the year, right? So December 31st is the biggest expired day. Got to have thick skin to work expireds, but there are a lot. I pulled it. This was a couple weeks ago. I pulled the expireds just for the last 30 days. In our MLS, it was 500. Or 500 homes. That's a lot that expired. Now, granted, some of those will get relisted. Some of them, the agent probably just didn't realize it expired and, has to go back. Some of them are that company that I won't name names, that, only lists houses for 72 hours. So a lot of them were those. Okay. And then I had something I was going to say about that, but I'm not going to because I have the recording on. But you should pay attention to the new commercials. That's all I'll say. For sale by owners, if I'm working FSBOs, and then what was the total, right? What was the total for the week? Okay. So tracking this, we advocate at Workman as a Workman coach that you should get 6 to 8 leads every 30 days off of your listing. This gives an example of 10, right? It doesn't give a time frame, but it says 10. Okay. So 6 to 8 leads. What am I doing with those leads? Am I trying to convert them? Right? There's almost 20,000 homes on the market. If your listing doesn't work for them, maybe there's something else that does. Okay. Same thing here with buyers, right? What's my monthly buyer accountability standards, and using this to track. I'm not going to go over it. Same content here, just tracking. I'm going to track for sellers and track for buyers. So accountability is the single biggest differentiator between successful and unsuccessful people. So you don't have to find an accountability partner. We're all in the gas program. So let's use those relationships, right, to help us, to help, and be okay getting called out on your own stuff, right? We're all full of excuses, myself included. And so be okay with being called out on that. And I think one thing that I want to bring up to Nate about the gas program is go back to our whys. Like, what's your why? And really lean into that. Because if you know what your why is, and your why is bigger than your excuses, right? Then we take action to get there. Okay. But I think a lot of people just aren't clear about that. They don't know why they're doing this, or who they're doing it for, right? They're just I think a lot of the world just sort of bouncing around in these meat suits, going from day to day, and really no inspiration, no definition of the why. And again, this business is unlimited. And so you can be a millionaire or you cannot. And so, maybe being a millionaire isn't your jam, but you still get my point, right? Is what's the why? What's my Northern Star? What gets me out of bed every day? Okay.
Sarah, I just want to comment about the accountability partner. I can honestly attest to the fact that it's changed my life in the last 3 years, my business. And we had our call today, bright and early, as we do every week. And she asked, well, do you want to take a break for the rest of December? And some of that was because I'm going through a lot of stuff. And I said, absolutely not. Can't happen.
Yeah.
So it's that important to me to have that person to be accountable to every single week.
And I know that person, she's very intense. So, and she's definitely not afraid to.
We're intense together. We call each other out pretty severely.
That's what we need, is someone to call us out, right? And because we, like I said, we all have excuses. Okay. And this time of year, we can make all kinds of excuses around the holidays, right? And I was busy with this, and even myself yesterday, I was like, I'm going to wrap some Christmas presents because my office looks like an Amazon bomb went off in it, right? Was that the highest and best use of my time? Probably not. Probably could have been prospecting instead. Okay. All right. So what gets measured gets done. So here's the tracking calls received from yard signs, ads, websites, wherever, right? So tracking that, and knowing what to say. If they say, well, I'm just looking, or I got the information, I'm not interested, we'll follow up, right? There's 19,000 homes on the market. Surely there's something else that's out there that's for sale. Okay. Instead of just saying, okay, I understand. Thanks. Have a great day. Right. Then we want to track how many face-to-face appointments we're having, not necessarily phone presentations, but actual face-to-face. Okay. So again, I would take this, maybe turn it into a Google Doc. We're going to skip that slide. All right. Just to wrap up. So we got to have a goal, right? I got to know when I sit down to prospect today, what's my goal? What's my objective? We want to celebrate that success. Look around your environment. Take some time today. If your environment is not where it needs to be, take some time and freshen it up, right? Go buy a candle, get a pretty plant to put on your desk, right? My other side over here is very pretty. I've got all my stuff that inspires me when I look at it, right? And there's a candle and some flowers. so I have that there when I look to the side of my office. So then we want to practice our rituals, right? Create those success habits for yourself. Tracking, right? We want to track. So that what's my conversion? Am I saying the right stuff to be able to get these people to trust me and want to work with me? And then what's my performance standards? So again, what gets measured gets done. And then what's my accountability? So I would really challenge you guys, the journal. I know the journal is a beast, right? That we're all doing in gas. But there was a lot of thought that went into that when we were designing it, and really thinking about, like, what are the things that if we really were not micromanaging, but like being aware of, right? Really being aware. And I think that that's what accountability gets a bad rap, because really, do any of us want to be accountable? I don't know. I don't necessarily enjoy getting called out on my excuses. But how about the word awareness, right? Being aware of where we can improve, right? And being aware of the activities that lead to the results that we want to have, right? So that's really what it boils down to, is being aware that I'm doing the right things or I'm not doing the right things. And then leaning back on what's your why. So if you're not clear, don't know what the why is, then I say that that's where we got to start, right? Is getting really, really crystal clear about, why am I doing this? What's the objective? So questions, comments, that didn't take me very long to get through that today. Any questions or comments, any thoughts or ahas? How is it going for you guys in the gas program?
Don't everybody speak at once. I like it. I like to be able to, wake up Monday morning. Literally, this is how my day goes. I wake up Monday morning and I go, okay, I got gas today. I got to report to Nate. And Nate's always been kind of my guiding star in terms of a true accountability. I've told this story before. People are like, oh, well, write $100 to the, political candidate that you hate the most, and that'll keep you accountable, or, things like that. I'm like, yeah, whatever. That does not work for me, because that just doesn't work for me. But I told one of my coaches along the way, my ish is Nate. So I will go tell Nate something. This is what I'm going to do. And by golly, if I don't do it, I'm embarrassed. And that gets me so much more than writing $100 check. So gas for me is really cool, because I get his, even if it's only 5 minutes, right? I get his time and get to talk to him. And I just think that's really cool. So yeah, for me, it's awesome.
Yeah. So,
and the journal's a beast. He beats me up on it all the time, because I always say, I can't journal. And he's like, your mindset will dictate what you can do. Stop being negative. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, right. It's
Funny.
True. Lenny, what were you going to say?
I'm liking the gas program.
Yeah.
It's nice to see, sometimes I don't make my goals, but I've also seen that other people are working hard and they're not quite getting there as well. So, I don't beat myself up, because, we're all human.
Absolutely.
And seeing what everybody else is doing, what I'm doing, it helps me out.
Good. Awesome. Yeah. So just don't let that be an excuse, though, to not hit your goals. So
Right.
Yeah. What is that saying? Misery likes good company, or something like that.
Yeah.
So, Debbie, you got anything you want to add? She's on her iPad today, so she's in the witness protection program. So, Thursday office meeting, definitely the meeting of the year to be at. We have Tina from the Cromford Reports coming. She is just a fire hose of information and a firecracker presenter. So if you've never seen her speak before, definitely, she's not cheap either to come and share information. So Debbie, you came off mute. Did you have something you want to add?
Sorry, I had to take a phone call. Finally have a closing.
Yay.
Yay! That I think what the gas program does for me is that it makes me think about what I have to do during the week.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of forces me, if I have to report, that I have to at least get something done.
Right.
Right.
But I'm really looking forward to Tina. I used to listen to her every Monday, but unfortunately it's at 1 o'clock and our gas meeting's at 1:30.
Yeah.
So
I got invited. Wendy Mueller invited me. I got on her list. And so I was able to tune into one of her monthly things. I haven't been able to since, just because of my schedule, but man, she is just so much information. So it's going to be a really good presentation. Of course, Nate always does his predictions for next year and recap of what happened this year. So I'm sure that's going to be really interesting, because none of us expected the feds to jack the rates up the way that they did. So
exactly.
That's interesting. And you guys, I emailed out that thing from Motto. I know you may not work with Motto, and that's totally fine. But Tina and I were talking about a graphic that was floating around the internet, which is what would that was the inspiration for me going to them and saying, hey, can you put this together? So even if you're not a motto person, still push that out to your social media. It's a great example of, your buying power today, even with the rates the way they are. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I actually posted it this morning on Facebook.
good.
And I've seen several posts from people in our office.
Yeah, good. Yeah. So it's good content, and it's really eye-opening because, again, consumers are just seeing the headlines, right? They just say that the rates went up. And it was interesting. So, we're talking about people not having any, the things being so expensive, but it was really fascinating to me over the weekends, what
Right.
the projections were for Black Friday and Cyber
Right.
Monday and all the spending. And of course, that hasn't come out yet, but they projected 10.6 million to be spent on Halloween. So what's going to happen with Christmas spending?
It was the highest ever.
Was it?
Wow.
For Black Friday, it was the highest ever. And over the weekend, they were projecting that cyber would be the highest ever. And Rick, because I made the same comment, and Rick made, well, yeah, but prices are higher, so there's a reason it was the highest. But I was like, still, people are buying.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with Rick. Prices are higher, and I contributed to that because that's what I do on Black Fridays. I Amazon shop, and I contributed to it. So I did not do anything on Cyber Monday, but I did contribute to that. And Saturday we went shopping, so we contributed to the Saturday shopping as well. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, because there's just a lot of, so Tina's perspective is going to be interesting because there's a lot of just different stuff happening, and this is an economy that none of us have experienced. And if you guys haven't had a chance, I'm going to drop this in the chat. Again, I'm not a Fairway person, but this guy Harry Habib, I don't know if you guys have heard him, but I actually want to watch this again because it was so good, and it's chocked full of history and just really, really good stuff. And he's funny, so as he's going through the presentation, he's getting amped up. And so he's going back 40 years looking at data. And he talks about, he contributes a really interesting, and I'm not going to get into it with you guys, I don't want to ruin the surprise, but there's a piece of history in there that I would have never connected the dots to have contributed to the crash in 2006. And so really interesting. So after you watch it, if you want to have a conversation with me about it, because it's a little bit political, I'd love to have a conversation about it. So, but yeah, really,
On it. I'm on it.
So I didn't watch it all in one segment because it's an hour. So I'd watch like 15 minutes and then come back to it. Yeah, it's an hour, but it's a really good hour. So it'll be curious to hear what Tina has to say in our local market compared to what he was saying kind of in the whole market. So, but he was very optimistic, and in his opinion, he says rates are going to come down. I think he said by spring, but I also heard that this is our new normal for like the next year. So we'll see.
It is normal.
This is
It is.
Yeah.
It is normal.
It's
Can I just say something on that point real quick? I took a client. She's also, one of my BFFs, but she's a client. She's moving back to Arizona. Took her to dinner the other night, and just generally speaking, we've been talking about the market anyway. But I reminded her, look, in the 40 or whatever years of history that we've been tracking interest rates, that 2 and 3% was an anomaly. It was the first time it ever happened. It was super, super low, not normal, absolutely not normal. I bought my first house was 13%. My mother used to sell properties at 18%. So the truth is 7 and 8% is normal. So we are in the normal zone. We are good to go. Let's go buy a house. And she was like, here's what I want to share. Not my brilliance, because it's just me spewing out what Sarah says. But it was literally, she goes, okay. I mean, you could just see her tension just drop and go, great, thank you. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And that was just physically amazing for me to watch her do. Yeah,
for sure.
Pretty cool.
You're right. I was
Pretty
at 8.25. My first house that I bought in 2000 and I think 2001, 2002. No, I was in my house. It was before. So it was 2000 because it was before 9/11. So yeah, 8.25. And as soon as it went to 6, I refied. Right?
I think mine was like 14.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I think that's right. That's what it is, right? This is normal. So,
It's
and
normal.
frankly, I mean, I hated this market. It was hard. It was
Mhm.
hard.
Yeah.
And I hated all of the crazy stuff we were doing with contracts and appraisal escalation or escalation clauses, appraisal
Right.
waivers, hated all of that. And
Yeah.
what lawsuits are going to come of that, in the next
Yep.
couple years because someone, right? I mean, I think there's potential for that coming. So just because, if someone waives an inspection, they get into a house and they find out that they've got issues, somebody, they're going after somebody, right?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. So
Right.
anyway, thank you for saying that, because that's true. This is normal. So definitely don't
It
miss
is
normal.
Thursday. Don't miss Thursday. If you can't be there physically, they are streaming it on Zoom, but definitely will be better to come in person and hang out, eat some
Yes.
breakfast, network, get to know each other and all that good stuff. So, all right. And
And
that being
then
said,
you're going to write a letter, huh?
yes. And then I'm writing a
You're gonna
letter.
help-
So
And you're going to share it, huh? So those of us who have horrible letter writing skills.
yeah, you do need to put a little bit of your own spin on it though, but
Oh, I will. But if I have just a basic to where I know, my letter writing skills have always been horrible.
yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, so I will share that with my gas pod. So we're doing just a couple more things here and we'll wrap up, but we're coming to the end of classes for this year. Last momentum class will be on Tuesday, December 13th, and that's on marketing. So I strategically picked that class so that if you guys don't have your marketing plan done for next year, you have time to get it done, and I'll share some ideas with you. But we're also doing a dream board, vision board class at Arrowhead North on December 8th, which is the Thursday. So that'll be our last Thursday class. So that'll be at Arrowhead North. So if you want to go, we'll have some little bit of nosh. I'll have some music. We'll have our dream boards and have some fun creating those for next year.
Okay.
So cool. All right. That being said, you guys have a great day. If you need anything, reach out. So otherwise, go crush it. Stay healthy. This nasty stuff flying around that I've had for 3 weeks. So stay healthy and all that good stuff. Okay.
Thank
All righty,
you.
and I'll see you Thursday.
All right. Sounds great. You guys be safe.
See you
Okay.
guys.
All righty.
Thanks.
Bye. You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye-bye.